Hey guys, how's it going? Helimatic Young Gun here, Aaron Rodriguez with Team Top Pine Ropes, presented to you by Cinch Jeans. Today I'm going to be talking about something that'll take your roping to the next level, something that all the pros talk about, and something that can fine-tune every little aspect of your team roping. So today we're going to be talking about heeling the goat. And first of all, I want to start off with my setup and why I use that certain setup. So we just have an old billy goat we found. We call him Cholino. His life's purpose is to help me become a better roper. And what I do is I just get an old rope and I cut it just say about 7 feet, and then I tie a knot loose enough on a stake to where he can run around and the rope will run around without wrapping on the stake and shortening him up after every single circle he takes. So a lot of people go with a PVC pipe, and I don't like to use a PVC pipe unless I'm teaching them to go in circles, because it actually weighs them down and soon they'll learn to lean off the end of the rope instead of hopping true. That's one of the most important things, I think. But usually when I start these goats off, we'll go with flags, hot shots, anything to get them hopping. And really it all just comes down to helping them learn the art of repetition in their hops. But truthfully, I think this might be one of the most important aspects in every young roper, every old roper's healing. I don't think it matters if you're a straight 3, it doesn't matter if you're a 5, a 6, or 7. I think the goat's gonna help you fine tune every little thing about your roping. And sometimes maybe you're in a slump, and this will help you just get back into the rhythm of things. What a lot of people don't talk about is the fact that you can have a great foundation, you can have great horsemanship, and one of the things they don't talk about a lot is timing. So timing on the goat is about the same as it is on a steer, and it might be a little more difficult, and that's why it helps so much transferring this over to the steer. It's the same process and the same concept. You want the tip of your rope to be down when the feet are expanding, so he's stretched out and you're in time. Every single swing you want it to be like that, so that way you can come down with your loop at any point in your swing and be in time with him. So when it comes down to roping the goat, a lot of people talk about how they make their kids use a medium soft, a medium hard, because they want it to be realistic compared to that of a steer. Truthfully, you know, watching everybody that comes up through the ranks and the way they rope the goat, I really think that's more personal preference. Usually I think it just makes it more difficult for yourself, because the hops here are a little more different than the steers. They're a little more short, they're a little more quick. So I think it's easier to just use a kid's rope, so that way it transfers over and it's more realistic and you get a better feel for it when you're on a steer. And for example, sometimes your goats will get really roped out. For example, I give them about 30-45 minutes a day, and I think that's enough to change your roping entirely. For example, Hunter Cook, when he first started heeling, he was a straight 3, and in about a year he talks about how he roped the goat and it changed his roping so much he got to a 6. And I mean, look at him now, he's a multi-time NFR qualifier. So I think the results are there, the proof's all there that it works. Now the only thing that we have to do is apply ourselves to the task at hand. And in some cases, when you get goats roped out, you're gonna need a hot shot. Sometimes when they get experience like this, you don't actually have to hot shot them. Sometimes you put your hand like this without pressing the button and chase them around. And as long as they see that yellow prod pointing at them, that's enough to make them hop in circles fairly consistently. Like so. Now, another thing I really want to talk about, guys, is the fact that positioning here is going to affect your positioning when you get to the roping arena, when you get to heeling as well. So what a lot of people look for when they heel, and you talk to a lot of the high number guys and the pros about this, is they look for the inside. They look for the inside. They'll start out wide, and as soon as they hit the corner, they want to have space between them and the steer, but they want to be wide so they have their shot right here, and it sets everything up to come tight quicker. So if you do that here, what that's going to happen is it's going to put a mental image into your head. So now when you get on your horse, you're swinging, okay, and you're in time, your hand, your body, it's going to subconsciously take you to that position, and it's only going to help you to become a better roper. So So finding the inside. Now the cool thing is when you get 2 or 3 of these goats, really you can rope as many hours as you'd like a day. You can get as many reps in, of course. But truthfully, when you're down between a 3 and a 5, 30 minutes of this can really change your roping. And another important thing to take into consideration is you want to have a good foundation in your swing. Now, the dummy, a standalone dummy like the Heliomatic Hawks, is a lot more beginner friendly because it's more consistent and it's the same shot every time. Here on the goat, sometimes he's going to take a little tricky hops. And the cool thing is, on the Heliomatic Hawks, you can practice hitting the hawks every single time with your top strand. And that way, it comes across a lot more beautifully. On this guy, if you hit him below the hawks, if you hit between the ankle and the toe, what's going to happen is he's learned to hear that power swing, that final swing before you throw. He's learned to hear that. So what happens now is he hears that and he's going to take a little higher jump with his right leg. So if we just hit him in the hawks each time, there's no way he can slip it out like so.
No! God, please, no! No!
A lot of people see me on social media and they ask me if there's any way this can help transcend your horsemanship to the next level, and the answer is yes and no. Because when you're on a horse, obviously you're going to have reins in your hands and you're going to be having to think about where to use your feet and such. But one of the coolest things I've been taught by my dad, Hugo Rodriguez, is that you can really use them for a lot more than just your loop, of course. So what I like to talk about is sometimes our heel horses like to get really bracy on their front ends. And what that means is instead of slowly walking forward as their behinds under them, they'll start to get bracy and get really bouncy. So how we fix that on a horse is when we're roping, we'll be roping and we'll ask them to stop, hold our loop up, and then we'll pressure them to keep riding, to trot forward, to lope forward. And so that way they learn that they're going to get a lot more relief and the pressure is going to be released if they use their front feet. So how do we do this on the goat, you may ask? And the thing is we do that exact same thing, because then it builds a mental game, a subconscious game in our heads. So this is what we'll do. So right there, as soon as I picked up my slack, I didn't just break and squat down as if I was yanking on my horse's mouth. Right there, I held my loop up and I walked forward. So that way, it's a little easier for me to comprehend that when I'm trying to do that on a live run. One of the things I want to talk about now is what happens if you mess up on the goat. How do you gather yourself? Now, there's times where I'm out here for hours, maybe sometimes, making this poor guy just absolutely lose it. And sometimes I'll get into a slump. Sometimes he'll give me the perfect hops, and sometimes I feel like I get lazy. You know, I'm winded. So I feel like we need to find a way to fix that. And a way to fix that is I'll stop, take a deep breath, and then after that, I'll see every hop through. Maybe I'll take a few extras, and I go back to my fundamentals. Where do I want my top strand to hit? Where do I want my bottom strand to hit? I need to go back to how I learned to heel this thing. Like so. Now we talk about building a good loop for this goat here. Now I don't like to go anything crazy. I don't like to go short spoke. I like to go a little more realistic to what a heel loop would look like. So then my loop stays true to what it would be on a steer. Sometimes I run into people and they're like, Aaron, I can't find any goats in my area. Aaron, some of these goats are just not working for me. Are there any alternatives to this? And the truth is, yes, there's a lot of alternatives. What a lot of people do is they'll do the same thing. They'll upscale it, do it with donkeys. That's a really good one because they're really random. And then you have people that do it with sheep. And it's about the same thing as these guys, except those guys have a little shorter feet, so you have to be a little sharper with the way you rope. For some people they like it, some people they don't, because their belly's really close to the ground, which means your top strand's gonna not hit as true as it would on steer. And the truth is, a lot of beginners, they'll start to get really frustrated. And the thing I like to talk about is, it doesn't matter if you're 4, 5, 7, 8, you know, if you're one of the AMI guys that goes to the local pros. The truth is if you've never roped the goat before, and if you don't have a decent foundation, the goat's gonna be one of the most humbling things you're ever gonna experience in your team roping journey. But the truth is that winners are made out of humbling experiences. Winners are a buildup of humbling experiences. That's what makes them sharp, that's what fine-tunes them, and that's what makes them so great, the ability to rise above it. When I first got this guy, I lasted about almost a week, maybe 2 weeks, trying to learn how to get everything in time. And I had already been healing for about 2 to 3 weeks, and we got this guy, and it changed the entire game for me. It taught me, you know, there's some times where you're shot, you may have the perfect timing, but if you're a step over and behind the goat steer, you're not gonna get your loop as good across the feet. It teaches me that if I'm too behind, my tip's not gonna go all the way through. It teaches me if I'm too up front, I'm gonna get to throwing wide next to me, and that's gonna transfer over to the steer. So it really made me work down, and it helped me to find every single little problem in my roping. So then I can work on it here, and I have a little easier time when I get to the steers. And of course, you know, when you get to a live pen, you got your horse, you got a partner, you got to worry about a hazing. But the truth is that a lot of that can be covered on the goat. It doesn't matter if it's position, timing, or whatnot, and everything's proven to work. You got NFR qualifiers, you got pro guys that tell you, such as Cesar de la Cruz. He talks about that's how he got so good at healing, is he'd find these animals like goats and donkeys, and he'd put them on a stake, or he'd have a little contraption to make them spin, and he'd just do that all day. Because when you want it that bad, you're gonna look for any little way to make yourself better. Sometimes you ask yourself, man, I'm really peaking here. I guess the only way I'm gonna get better is just to run 30 more in the practice pen each day, but without purpose. And the truth is, if you're not working your roping outside of the practice pen with the dummy, you know, the Heliomatic Hawks, the goat, you know, working on even headers. You can work, if you don't work on the dummy, on the head side, outside of roping, you're gonna start falling apart, you're gonna get bad habits when you get to the live pen. So the truth is, it all transfers, and as long as you have faith in it, as long as you have the discipline to keep going, to wake up every day and say, I'm gonna rope the goat for 20, 30, an hour, I promise you, it's gonna change your roping. Hey guys, if you really enjoyed the video, I'd ask you to please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you get notified when we post our next video. Our next videos are going to be about the day in the life of a high school rodeo athlete and preparation for our first high school rodeo this next weekend, the 20th and the 21st of April. So please feel free to tune in, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.